So before we wrap up the 23 part and move on to the book and some personal questions, can you share maybe a few stories from your time flying the MiG-23? And that can be in the air or just working with the guys on the ground.
Yeah, probably the one that's I'll point out right now, and it's devoted a whole chapter to it in the book. It was a compound emergency I had in MiG-23. It was the first and only and ever they ever had in the MiG-23 up at Tonopah, and it was a main hydraulic system failure in it. And this happened after I was leading a two-ship of MiGs, MiG-23 I was flying. My wingman, a guy by the name of Gary Craig, Goldie, was flying a MiG-21. We were up against a pair of F-15s. We're going to do a 2v2 intercept, and we're going to show them the F-15s, about a 40-mile range setup. We did some kind of Soviet high-low pincer attack. I was going low to the east in my MiG-23. Goldie was going high to the west in his MiG-21. I was accelerating 650 knots, wings back at 72 degrees. At about 15 miles coming back, each of us, Goldie was we're separated by 10 miles. He's up at 32,000 feet. I'm down at around 13,000 feet. I'm coming back based on our GCI call at about 15 miles, coming nose on to the F-15s. And as I'm in my turn, looking out the top of I'm in a right-hand turn, looking out the top of my canopy at MiG-23. My wings are back at 72 degrees, again, hauling ass, 650 knots. Could have gone faster, but that's what I recollect being at the time. A master caution light goes off in the airplane, and of course that gets your attention anytime. So I immediately come in. I'm still in my turn, and I catch a glimpse, and I see the light, and then I go, okay, I know there's got to be a light on my tail light panel, my caution light panel, somewhere just above my right knee. So I look down real quick, and I see a brightly yellow illuminated warning light saying main hydraulics, which, other than your engine, is probably the one you don't want to see.
Yeah.
So I immediately knock it off. I roll out of my hard turn. I just remember rolling out rolling the airplane out, climbing immediately. And the immediate action for that, because it's I alluded to it earlier, the one thing when you got all your hydraulics working, the wings sweep at 3.1 degrees a second. Well, if you lose your main hydraulics, they're going to come forward at only half that rate, and only if your boost system continues to operate. So this is one of those emergency where the immediate action is, basically climb, get the wings full forward, because if you can't get your wings forward, you're going to punch out of the airplane. So for the listeners, I did all that, climbed it, converted all this airspeed, 650 knots, converted basically 400 of that to altitude, and I climbed, pull the throttle back to idle, because I knew to get the wings forward, I've got to lose a bunch of airspeed. And the one thing I want to have is I want to gain as much altitude as I can. So as I'm on my turn, throttle's back to idle. I'm climbing like a banshee, and I'm heading back toward the airfield, because I don't know, I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to bring this airplane back and land it, because no one's ever had this emergency before. So get all that. My wingman joins up on me a few minutes later. I'm now back at 250 knots, heading back toward the field. And as I'm slowing down, I've got the wing sweep lever full forward to get the wings. And I don't have I look down right in front of me on the lower pedestal in front of the stick. I've got two tiny little hydraulic gauges, and they're actually, it's one single gauge with both boost and hydraulic on it, or boost and main on it. And the main is gone. So all I have is boost, but that's still operating. But while I'm in my climb, the one thing I do have, again, I mentioned earlier, I can't see much of what's behind me. So your eyes, it doesn't take you long as a flogger pilot to get used to it. When you're looking around, the one thing you take into your crosscheck all the time is you look right up into that periscope. So that's immediately, while I'm in my climb, I look up and I look through that, and what I see on my left wing root, back of me, probably about 8-10 feet, is what appears at my left wing root is this, it looks like an angry cloud. It looks like a cotton ball attached to my wing. And what that is, it's hydraulic fluid from the main hydraulics escaping into the airstream, which again, I was doing 650 knots at the time. And it's just being atomized in that airspeed. So what normally would be kind of a reddish looking hydraulic fluid sort of looks like an angry gray cloud attached. It looks like a cotton ball attached to my wing root. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, now there's something you just never see. And so I look at that and I go, well, my wings are coming forward half the rate now, less than right at about 1.5 degrees a second. And I'm just sort of mentally doing the calculation. I go, well, I've got to get these wings all the way full forward. If I don't, I'm going to punch out. Because even the MiG designer said, if you can't get the wings forward, there's no way you're going to land the airplane. So I'll save the listeners the details. You can read about it in the book. But I do get forward. We get the wings forward, get the gear down, I had to blow the gear down. I didn't have any leading or trailing edge flaps. And on the MiG-23, which a lot of people probably don't think about, you don't have ailerons. All you have is spoilers. So luckily I had that. And I did a controllability check, and the checklist called for, okay, if you get your gear down, you did a controllability check, your airspeed on final is going to be 210 knots. So don't slow down below that until you get ready to land. And then when you land, plan on touching down at 190 knots. So you think about that. Normal airspeed touching down in the MiG-23 was about 140. Mm-hmm. Your average airliner, probably, if you're on British Airways, you're coming in on an A380 or something like that, you're probably going to touch down about 140, 130, something like that, maybe a little less. Well, I've got a boatload of speed. So the airplane at that airspeed is still going to want to fly. But now you've got this squirrely airplane, which under normal conditions is a handful sometimes to land because you got that narrow landing gear, you got those high wings, you don't have ailerons, you got spoilers, you're not incredibly, and now I've got half the flight controls I normally have. So I landed it and touched down, popped the drag chute, and the drag chute worked so good, I actually made an early turnoff. So, and there is, I leave the runway, there's a whole armada of fire trucks and maintenance guys there to meet me and shut the airplane down. And that was it, and days later, again, you can read about it in the book, but I'll tell you what happened to it. And had it occurred at any other time, I probably wouldn't have been able to recover the airplane. But I was lucky to bring it back as it was.